Millions of Americans are trying to figure out where their next utility payment's coming from, whether or not they're going to have to turn off the heat until they get paid again, whether or not it's time to go to the food bank and pay their utility bill or buy groceries and go cold. Millions of Americans are trying to figure out how to feed their kids, make their mortgage payment, and all of their utility payments. Millions more are trying to figure out whether or not it's time to drop health insurance going into 2026 and risk having to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to a hospital over cancer treatments, or whether or not they can afford the $3,000 a month health insurance premium, as premiums are expected to triple for the majority of Americans on the Affordable Care Act. And all of this is going on. Donald Trump is requesting $230 million from the federal government for pain and anguish over crimes that he committed, investigations into those crimes. Donald Trump is destroying the East Wing of the White House, which is going to cost us millions of more dollars after lawsuits deemed that it was done illegally and the East Wing has to be rebuilt. And we haven't even talked about the $250 million for a 90,000 square foot monstrosity of a ballroom that nobody wants built next to the White House, which happens to be the people's house. Or $170 million for Kristi Noem to get 2 private jets because 1 jet is not enough for her. Or the $70 million that DHS has spent this year on weapons that they don't need for immigration, customs, and enforcement officers, including guided missiles. So as millions of Americans are trying to figure out how to feed their families and provide them with affordable health care, Donald Trump is spending money on vanity projects. Kristi Noem is spending money on luxury items, 2 of them that she doesn't need. J.D. Vance is in Israel trying to make sure Donald Trump keeps his bid for the Nobel Peace Prize alive. And now Donald Trump is jetting off to Asia this weekend when he should be at home trying to figure out how to solve a government shutdown.
Despite the government shutdown, U.S. taxpayers' funding to Israel will continue unimpeded. Wow. Paychecks for our own government employees will be delayed. SNAP welfare food program benefits will also be delayed. Government projects will not be going through. And even paychecks to our own U.S. military, our own soldiers, that will be delayed too. But payments and benefit to blue states, country, and military, that's going to continue on even though they're supposed to be in a ceasefire. The great noticing continues. And this just keeps on getting ridiculous.
Okay, so Donald Trump has claimed that he has defeated inflation, even though 75% of Americans say that costs are soaring. Here's how his ridiculous claim is connected to his one big ugly bill, which is connected to the current shutdown and healthcare fight. Even though most Americans are struggling with higher costs, Trump says we've defeated inflation. It's similar to George W. Bush saying mission accomplished in 2003 about Iraq. It wasn't mission accomplished. The United States spent another 8 years in that war. Back to present day. Trump saying that inflation is gone will seem out of touch for some. And for others, it'll seem like he's distracting from the fact that he's actually causing it. In fact, this is why their one big legislative accomplishment, the one big ugly bill, is so unpopular. Utility bills are going up and they cut billions of dollars in new energy projects. Healthcare costs are going up and about to skyrocket. They cut over $1 trillion in healthcare. So not only are they not defeating inflation, Trump and congressional Republicans have created higher costs. And one of the most urgent cost issues is healthcare. This is why we're fighting so hard to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies. They could have extended those subsidies in the one big ugly bill, but they didn't. So unless they do it now, 24 million Americans will see their healthcare costs skyrocket. In my district, that's 32,000 Ohioans. Millions of those Americans will lose their healthcare altogether. By the way, to add insult to injury, instead of working with us to reopen the government and extend these healthcare subsidies, Trump gave $40 billion to bail out his friend in Argentina. Fact is, everything's going to come back to costs. Inflation is the #1 issue for most Americans, which is why they should work with us on one vote to reopen the government and extend these healthcare subsidies, which 78% of Americans support.
Listen to this.
Shutdowns are terrible. Of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leverage times we have.
So let me slow it down just in case y'all missed it. This woman just said that she knows shutting down the government will cause a lot of pain to families, and she is willing to accept that responsibility because that's really the only leverage that the Democrats have to stick it to Trump. So American families who need the most support and help are going to have to feel the pain until Republicans and Trump cave in to their demands. That's what she said. So how do you feel about that?
Now, it's likely that you wouldn't believe this unless you actually heard it for yourself. So I'm going to let you listen so you can hear it for yourself. But Democrats are using Americans' suffering as leverage in a bargaining tool.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leverage times we have.
Oh, you heard that correct, folks. Catherine Clark said it herself. We should go ahead and think about this for a minute, okay? So the Democrats are okay with Americans suffering and using that suffrage as leverage against Republicans, keeping the government shut down while they're still receiving their paychecks and their benefits and such, for things that do not support Americans, but rather illegal immigrants. This seems rather simple to me, but I have to say, the Democrats really should get their priorities in order and worry less about the ballroom at the White House, because not a one of them bitched about the basketball court that was built at the White House or any other renovations that have ever been made at the White House, and focus more on the American people, the taxpayers, less about illegal immigrants, and getting this government opened and everything funded again. For nothing, if you want to bitch about money being spent, worry less about the non-taxpayer dollars going into renovations at the White House, and maybe consider how much money was spent on that stupid, unproductive No Kings protest.
Millions of people, including children, will starve in the United States if the government continues to be shut down past November 1st. Many states have already said that their SNAP benefits will run out. If you don't already, here are some reasons that you should care about this. In 2024, SNAP helped 41 million people each month afford a nutritious diet. 62% of people on SNAP are families with children. 37% are in households with older adults or people with disabilities. 62, 37, 99%, is that right? 98. No, 99. Most unemployed, non-disabled adults ages 18 to 54 who do not have minor children are only eligible to receive 3 months of benefits every 3 years. On average, SNAP participants will receive $187 per person per month in fiscal year 2025. That's about $6.16 per day. In 2023, about 6% of SNAP spending went to state administrative costs and less than 1% went to federal administrative costs. 40% of those who receive SNAP benefits are children under 18. SNAP isn't just giving families food, it is trying to get them out of the cycle of poverty by allowing them to use their money on other things like housing, clothing. SNAP is one of the quickest, most effective forms of economic stimuli because it can quickly put money back into the economy for people who need it.
Millions of Americans could go without food for the month of November due to the government shutdown. I'm Major League, and this is news you need to know. Axios is reporting that the USDA has warned state agencies that there will be insufficient funds to provide SNAP benefits for the month of November. This threat impacts roughly 42 million Americans, including 11 million older Americans and households with children. Some state agencies have already warned recipients of delays starting on November 1st. This is a direct result of the government shutdown due to the budget impasse in Washington, D.C. For context here, we are in day 20 of the government shutdown, with Republicans who lead Congress have refused to even hold a vote to open the government. The major sticking point being that Democrats in Congress want to roll back some of Trump's major tax cuts for the wealthy in his big, beautiful bill in favor of healthcare subsidies for Obamacare. SNAP is the most effective anti-hunger campaign in the country and has become a casualty of this Washington budget impasse. But I want to know what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments and remember to follow along for more Major League news.
So as we're in day 23 of the shutdown, let's make sure that we are directing our anger, our upsetness, whatever it is, in the right direction. Y'all need to understand, we need to understand that this government shutdown is squarely on the shoulders of the Democrats. Here's why. This all started with the Big Beautiful Bill. The Big Beautiful Bill was a bill passed so that a budget can be created for the country, where we took out a bunch of stuff that we spended on in the past that was unnecessary, to the tune of $1.5 trillion. That's trillion with a T. A big chunk of that was money that was going towards health care for illegal immigrants. Now, the argument you'll hear is that that's not true because we can't legally give health care to illegal immigrants. Well, that's partially true. The devil is in the details. There is a loophole that happens when people who are arrested for being here illegally catch and release, where they're arrested and then they're sent to court. They show up in court. They tell them in court, hey, here is your future court date. We release you to the public and come and show up at this later court date. When that happens, they are now considered parolees. They're still illegal immigrants, technically, for real, but their status is now changed to a parolee. And guess who can get health care under that status? Yep, parolees. So they're able to get health care. So this bill stopped that from happening. And it also stopped people from who were taking Social Security and benefits, disability benefits, who were able-bodied. And you had to now, every 6 months, verify that you are not able to work, or that you are either studying to learn something, or you're in school, or you just can't work. There's parameters now. You can't just cheat the system. That would seem to be normal, right? Well, the Democrats wanted to put those provisions back in the budget, and that's what they're holding out on. Some of the other arguments are, well, Trump wanted to send billions of dollars to Argentina, and we need to have money here in America. That sounds like an America First thing, by the way, Democrats. So are y'all coming over to our side? But anyway, the reason why we did that is to help stabilize their economy, being that they are a more conservative government, and there are stipulations. That money is not actual money, it is credit. They get a line of credit with America based on if their party, the favorable party to America, continues to win elections. So there's stipulations to that. The other argument is, well, he's spending money renovating the White House when he can't send money to the people that are hurting and starving. Well, that money used to make the ballroom is not taxpayer money, so that's a moot point. And there's also plenty of things in the Democrats' proposal that wants to send American dollars to crazy, weird initiatives in other countries that make no sense. Oh, and by the way, Trump is using tariff money that we received to help pay for some of these things that are being missed because of this government shutdown. Let's all pray for the people that are being affected by this, the people that actually need SNAP benefits that are now not going to be able to get them. Let's pray that this gridlock and the Democrats come to their senses and fund the government so that these agencies and things that people need money from will actually get it.